Samantha Parent Walravens, welcome to the first ever Motherlode book club video, where we're talking about the first ever Motherlode book club book, which is yours. You edited it, Torn. And so let's start with the title. Talk to me about being torn. What does the word mean for you?
Yeah, well, you know, when I was putting together this book and collecting these essays, the word torn came up over and over and over again. Women were talking about how if they were working, they felt like they should be home with the kids. They felt guilty. If they were home with the kids, they felt like they should be doing something more with their education and their skills. If they were doing a little bit of both, they felt like they were doing a mediocre job as a mother and as a worker. So they were feeling torn between the conflicting demands of motherhood and work. And the word came up so many times that I thought, this is the title, Women Are Torn.
The title alone caused a lot of comments. I wrote some of them out. This one from Hockey Fan in Dallas says, full disclosure on me, I'm not torn. I like to work. I love my child. It's just my life, not some kind of battle between two selves. Or PL in New York says, I'm not torn. Why are you trying to establish a dominant narrative where the norm for women is to be torn? Those of us who do not consistently angst and do not feel that we have compromised are not deviants.
Of course, not everybody.
Not every woman is torn.
Not every woman is torn, and I realize that, and you know, God bless them. That's all I can say. For those women who are not torn, I'd like to know how they're doing it, and give me some tips and tricks.
And you're hearing from a lot of them.
And we are hearing from a lot of them, and I think it's fantastic. But the fact is, today, Lisa, you know that 4 out of 5 families today have both parents working, and 71% of mothers with kids under 18 are working. So women today are facing this juggle between career and work, and as a result, many women are torn. And I think women are very harsh towards each other, critical of the choices that we make, and I think we're very self-critical. I know that when I was working full-time, when I had babies in the house, I felt like a terrible mother, and when I was home, when I decided to work part-time, I was home part-time, I felt like I was doing a terrible job in both areas.
Okay, so that's the other word that comes up a lot.
Yeah.
So there's women are torn, and then there's whining.
Whining,
in
yes.
the comments, we heard a lot about when this is just so much whining by privileged women who, there is a little bit of whining in here, isn't there? I mean, there is a little bit of navel-gazing, complaining about problems that are first world problems.
Well, it depends how you define whiny. My kids, when they're hungry and grouchy at the end of the day and nothing's gonna make them happy, yeah, they're whiny. I think the women here are being raw and honest and telling it like it is. And if you call that whiny, so be it. But they're telling about their struggles that they face each and every day. And the point is to talk about the struggles so that we can come up with some better solutions.
Now, I don't want to diminish what's been accomplished. Actually, a lot's been accomplished. There's so much more in terms of flexibility. There are so many professions where being entitled to your life is now considered far more of the norm. And yet, interestingly, one of your authors has lashed out at that. Dr. Karen Seibert wrote an essay in Torn that she then expanded on quite recently, actually, while we were in the middle of discussing Torn for the book club, about women in medicine. And her take was that all of this flexibility being used mostly by women was damaging medicine. That you have too many people stepping out and not there full time, and not, in the days of the giants when I was in the hospital working 27 hours a day, and women, she suggested, should not take up, and these are fighting words, should not take up valuable space in medical school when there are men, frankly, who wouldn't take a leave and wouldn't work flex time.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about this?
I think she mentions how doctors need to be 100% committed to their patients. Well, I think they are. Again, with the practices, where you have multiple doctors in one practice, there's always a doctor available. It may not be the doctor that you love the most, but there's always a doctor available. I don't think you're letting your patients down. She's an anesthesiologist, and she talks about if I get an emergency call on a weekend or the middle of the night, I have to be there. And sure, there's some fields of medicine, I'm sure, that are less flexible or don't offer the opportunity for part-time work. But that's with any career choice, any job.
But we're finding flexibility in most unexpected places, and some corners of medicine are that.
Yeah.
So what did you get for your own life? Anything that you took away as, right, I can adopt this.
You know, the book in general I wrote this book because I felt like a failure and I felt very alone and unsupported in my struggles. And I reached out to other women to see how they were doing it. And the response I got when I started reaching out to just friends and family and then to people on the internet was so validating for me. It was, we can't do it all, no one can do it all, and whoever told us that we're supposed to do it all in the first place. And it really made me feel supported, and it made me feel less alone as a woman and as a worker and as a wife. I think that's what this book gives me and gives a lot of people, is this validation that there's no one right way to do it, to do motherhood, and we're all doing the best that we can, and here are how some women are doing it. It may not be for you, but there's some takeaway for everybody in this book. So
the answer is it can't be done, but at least you'll feel better knowing nobody else is doing it better than you are.
Yeah, and also I think it's a call to action. I really feel like this book is a call to action to women and to men. I think men should be reading this book as well, because you know, the truth is most executives today in the corner offices are men, and they need to know. Women need to bring this conversation to their workplaces and say, listen, this is what we need to support our families and to be good workers. And this is what we want to have happen. And this is what I see this happening. I see women raising their hand and saying, this is what I want, this is what I need. And guess what? It costs more money if I leave this company, right? It costs more money for you to rehire and retrain somebody. So from a cost perspective, it makes sense for you to figure out how to keep me here. So listen to what I'm saying.
Samantha, thank you for being my first book club book.
I'm thrilled.
And for Torn.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Good talking to you.
You too, thank you.